Welcome to the party, man. Come party with Six, baby. Come on. Let's get it now. Let's get it, man. Richie!
You guys already know.
Oh, geez, let's go, baby.
I want to see 5 rounds today.
Welcome to the party, baby. Welcome to the party.
After signing in the offseason, this is now Drew Brown's team as the former Blue Bomber backup looks to emerge as the next great starting quarterback in the league. At the other end of the field, we'll see a lot of Caleb Evans tonight as the veteran backup looks to solidify his role behind Cody Fajardo as the defending champs are in the nation's capital for one final tune-up. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CFL on TSN. Mark Rowe alongside two former Grey Cup champions and Jim Barker and Enoch Moambud. It's the final dress rehearsal. We're just 6 days away from week 1 of the regular season kicking off in Winnipeg in a rematch of last year's Grey Cup. And one half of that game is the champs, the Montreal Alouettes. We'll see them kick off today's doubleheader against the Ottawa REDBLACKS. And then later tonight, it's the BC Lions. We'll see a lot of their starters in the lineup, including Vernon Adams Jr., host the Edmonton Elks. Well, you know it's a big night when Davis Sanchez and Milt Stiegel take a road trip together. They're joining us from Ottawa where, guys, the big question this season is whether or not Drew Brown could be the man to lead the REDBLACKS back to the playoffs.
Yeah, he's the one to watch. We out here warm-ups, a lot of names that we're not familiar with, a lot of rookies out here. The second preseason game on the panel, there's a rook on the panel too. Mark Rowe, another rookie out there. What should they do to him tonight?
He may need to join a no hair club. Cut off that beautiful locks.
Cut it off?
Yeah, cut it off.
Rookie prank? All right, we're going to cut your hair off, rookie Mark Rowe. Anyway, back to Drew Brown. Drew Brown, make no mistake, what they're doing, there's not quarterback. Quarterbacks are hard to find, so you can't find a good quarterback in free agency. You got to bet on potential, and that's what we're doing with Drew Brown. It's potential. They haven't seen a lot from him in Winnipeg, but they believe in what they've seen, and they made him their franchise guy. 4 for 6 last week. No touchdowns, no turnovers, but they love his big arm.
Well, I talked to head coach Bob Dice right before the game, and he said he doesn't need to be great. And he can't be great. He's only completed over 100 passes in his short CFL career, so he just needs to go out there and not be bad. He has a nice group of receivers around him, Ackland, Addison. They brought back in Rhymes, so just go out there and don't put your team in bad positions, and you have an opportunity to win. There's a lot of pressure on Drew Brown because there's a lot of pressure on the head coach and the GM, because if Drew Brown doesn't get it done, there may be some changes with the Ottawa REDBLACKS.
With me and you look good ball, but I don't know about Mark Rowe with no hair.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Back to you, Mark.
Okay, no one said anything about my hair when I said yes to this gig, okay? So everyone's got great hair on this panel, including you, Jim.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, it's a good hair day. Final preseason game, what are you focused on?
Well, they talked about Drew Brown, and it's important for players. It's important that for them to get going, and Enoch will talk about that in a second. For the GMs, this is the worst 24 hours that you spend the entire year, because you're going to watch this game, get some ideas. You're going to then sit down with the coaches, watch the game, and then you're going to end some careers, and that's never a fun thing to do. You've got to make decisions on who's going to be on your practice roster. So, Enoch, what's it like for a player this last game?
Listen, Coach, as far as a player is concerned, today could be a make or break day as well. And you got to go out there and show exactly everything that you got, because there are a few guys on the roster right now that are bubble guys, and those guys have to come out and show up. A lot of the times you know exactly who it is, and you need to come up and show up.
All right, so not an inevitable position if you're the coaches of these teams as well. A lot of evaluating, and when you're thinking of the Ottawa REDBLACKS and trying to end that playoff drought, changes have already been made in the offseason. So it's going to be a big-time evaluation process for Bob Dice and Jason Moss. Kickoff after the break. Rod Smith, Dwayne Ford with the call from TD Place.
Oh, what a beautiful night in the nation's capital. No, it isn't June yet. We're still a few hours away. Then they start playing for keeps. But an interesting preseason showdown now between the Montreal Alouettes, the defending CFL champions, and the Ottawa REDBLACKS. And being a preseason game, you won't always see the starters. In fact, Wayne, with the Alouettes, they're going to be resting a lot of key players. But the REDBLACKS, we should see most of the starters. And that begins with their new quarterback, Drew Brown.
Yeah, Drew Brown, considered one of the marquee free agent signings of this offseason, coming over after 3 years as a backup quarterback with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They hope that the success that he brought or had in Winnipeg will follow him here to the Ottawa REDBLACKS. Of course, starting a quarterback on the other side, he's been the backup the last couple of years in Montreal. That's the former REDBLACK, Caleb Evans. Cody Fajardo gets the night off as he prepares for the regular season opener next week. Caleb Evans, an opportunity here to get some reps against his old team.
Oh, what a first season it was as head coach in Montreal for Jason Moss in 2023. 11-7 record, but they finished strong and won the Grey Cup for Bob Dice. A different story coming off a 4-14 season. This is his second full-time season as head coach of the REDBLACKS. He took over late in the season in 2022. David Cote to get things underway in this preseason game. The Alouettes won the toss, but they deferred, so the REDBLACKS get the ball first. And Devontae Dedmon, who had a punt return touchdown last week in Hamilton, gets it in his hands, gets it up across the 40. Big return capability. Dedmon, who gets it into Alouette territory, not taken down until the Montreal 51. REDBLACKS loving to see him back.
Yeah, great sign right there for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. A healthy Devontae Dedmon doing his thing, and this is a guy that'll make life a little bit easier for Drew Brown and the REDBLACKS offense, supplying them with this sort of field position.
A 47-yard opening kickoff return for Devontae Dedmon, the special teams player of the year in the CFL in 2021. The quarterback is Drew Brown, and a change at the boundary side wideout. Not Jalen Ackland, Khalil Pimpleton is in, number 83. They hand off, though, and the running back is Rykel Armstead. Of course, with an injury to Devontae Williams, that's one of the spots that's been up for grabs for Ottawa.
And there you see it. Look at Drew Brown's numbers last season with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Big expectations, of course, for him coming to Ottawa in the offseason. Of course, the reminder is always that he didn't bring Nick Dembski, Brady Oliveira,
No.
Dalton Schoen, Kenny Lawler, Jamarcus Hardrick, or Stanley Bryant with him.
Hey, you're talking about a team, the Bombers, that he was used to going to the Grey Cup 4 straight years, to your point. But he did show some great signs backing up Kalara's.
Absolutely.
Remember a game in Edmonton last year when they were down 3 touchdowns when he came in and he engineered a comeback in that one. I mentioned injured running backs. Armstead was the ball carrier, a loss of 1, and he had to take a knee. So he's off, so a change in the backfield now with Kylan Hill in for Ottawa. The second down and long for Brown. Passing down, knocked away there. That is Dominic. Jordan Dominic, who is in his first year, played in Colorado under Deion Sanders in a big defensive play for number 44.
Yeah, all kinds of pressure on this one. Looked like a little bit of confusion for Ottawa in terms of their pass protection.
All right, we'll make sure we have good sidelines. Thank you, coach.
We'll take a look here as the Alouettes load up the line of scrimmage. It was Bryce Cosby coming free off the edge.
The veteran punter Richie Leone in his 8th season out of Houston to get it away on that third down. Tyjon Lindsay is the returner. James Letcher, their normal returner, not playing tonight, so it is Lindsay, but he can't touch that one. As a beautiful punt by Leone, and it pins Caleb Evans and the Alouettes deep in their own zone for their first possession of this game.
Yes, Richie Leone appearing to be in mid-season Richie Leone form with the placement of that punt.
All the way back to the 7. And special teams, even through the bad years of the REDBLACKS, usually very strong. We talked about Dedmon, and of course, in addition to Leone, they have Lewis Ward, who is their kicker tonight. Missed part of last season with injury. So here we go for Evans. As Dwayne mentioned, former REDBLACK, first 2 years there. Last year moving over to backup Cody Fajardo. And he gets it off to one of the new targets for the Alouettes. That is Jose Barbone on the catch, wearing the 81 that Austin Mack wore so well for the Owls last year.
Yeah, Austin Mack, the guy who took advantage of the opportunity last year with the Alouettes, won a job in that abbreviated Canadian Football League training camp.
2nd and 5, up to the 12, passing again is Evans, looking off to the right, and he completes it for a first down and more. And it's an Ottawa native with that reception. Nicholas Gendron, went to school at the University of Ottawa, so a homecoming of sorts as he picks up 18 yards and a big first down for the Owls.
And you're going to see Gendron, the trail receiver here. And that trips Cluster into the boundary. Quick hitter, just looking to create a little bit of confusion amongst the defenders with that formation in motion.
Gets it up to the 30. First down, running back Stephen Scott. The ball, running back. Another question for this evolving Montreal offense with the changes. Of course, William Stanback going over and signing with the BC Lions. So they do have Walter Fletcher not playing tonight, but Scott looking for a job in that Alouette offense.
And certainly some Canadian depth at that running back position as well, with Jeshurun Antwi, but as well the free agent signing of Sean Thomas Erlington from Hamilton. So options available for the Alouettes in terms of primary ball carrier.
Scott stays in the backfield. 5 receivers out on that second down and long, and a toss there by Evans, and it falls incomplete. So a 3rd and 9, and the punting unit will be coming on for Montreal.
Evans, as he steps up, just looking to try and make something happen here. Turn this into positive yardage, or at the very least avoid the sack, as he was very quickly surrounded by Ottawa defenders.
Mentioned Devontae Dedmon had a 91-yard punt return touchdown for the REDBLACKS last week in Hamilton in their preseason victory over the Ticats. He only played in 2 games last year. He was injured in late June, and that certainly hurt the REDBLACKS. The punt from Joseph Zena. Dedmon comes in, takes a hop, picks it up. He'll get the no yards call as well as he gets it up to the Ottawa 50 and tacks some yardage on. Just a 34-yard punt. Ottawa's 2nd possession for Drew Brown and company coming up. Well, I mentioned that refreshing sight for REDBLACKS fans last week. Yes, just a preseason game, but still, Dwayne, we remember how explosive Devontae Dedmon could be when he came into the CFL in 2019.
Yeah, an absolute game changer for this Ottawa REDBLACKS team, and this is just a reminder of what he can do when at 100%. You mentioned earlier Dedmon missing most of last season, and for REDBLACKS team playing a lot of the year with the young quarterback in Dustin Crum.
Hope everything good back in VA.
They certainly could have used some shorter fields in the contributions of Dedmon in the return game.
They have one now, starting at the Alouette 50 for Brown. Takes the handoff, rolls out to the right. Get off me! Throws it off to Braylon Addison in his 2nd year with the REDBLACKS, and he missed a good chunk of 2023 because of injury.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued to see what Braylon Addison does in this Ottawa offense this season, in part because he's theoretically a year healthier coming off major injury, but as well, Tommy Condell, now the offensive coordinator here in Ottawa. Addison was a monster in Hamilton in Condell's offense.
The gain of 17, Addison, so first down inside the 35. The Alouettes for Brown, he's hit as he throws it, and his falls incomplete, so he took a shot just as he was getting rid of the football. Jordan Dominic, who knocked one down earlier, in on the act again.
Yeah, up at the top of your screen coming off that edge. Jordan Dominic, that spin move to the inside. Drive the offensive tackle upfield. He anticipates an outside rush, contained rush from the edge player. Just overcommitted as Dominic spun back to the inside to make a play.
There's been some changes, too, to the Alouette defensive front from one year to the next. Dominic making an early impression. Brown facing heat again and is forced to just throw that one away.
Well, it may be a lot of inexperienced players as you see Alouettes first-round pick, Jeffrey Cantin-Arcu, getting the start at middle linebacker tonight. Making a play on this one. Young man who started his collegiate career at Syracuse, finished up at Memphis. Getting after Ottawa's new quarterback.
Cantin-Arcu, 9th overall, the first pick by the Alouettes in this 2024 draft. And that leaves a field goal situation coming up here now, with a flag coming out and moving back 5 yards to the 45.
So a flag was thrown here.
Against Ottawa. It's a loss of down. It's 3rd down.
Flag was thrown just as Ottawa was getting lined up. They get marched back a few yards after the intentional grounding call. I think a quick review by the command center influencing that one.
So a 52-yard try now for Lewis Ward instead of a 47. One of the all-time greats in the history of the CFL. Lindsay back for it, but it is through. 52-yarder puts the REDBLACKS on the board first in this final tune-up game before the regular season begins. 3-0 Ottawa. Well, we mentioned the first pick taken by the Alouettes in 2024, making an early impression. How about the rest?
Yeah, we mentioned Jeffrey Cantin-Arcu. Arthur Hamlin is actually getting the start tonight at free safety. DB who is actually from here in Ottawa, so a chance for him to play at home. But this is a Montreal team, when you look at their Grey Cup championship, it's a team built around the draft, built through the draft. And you consider contributions from high picks like Marc-Antoine Dubois, Pierre-Olivier Lestage, Tyson Philpott, Kian Julian Grant. Number of guys that have really stepped up, panned out for them. Wal Uguak last year, becoming a starter before the end of the season. Really making a contribution for them down the stretch. So this is a team that you look at the guys that they've picked and you pay attention, because they're going to have a chance to contribute and make an impact this season.
Boy, no kidding. I mean, some of those names really instrumental in their Grey Cup win. So after the incompletion, it's a 2nd down and 10 for Evans. Steps up in the pocket, wants to take off. He ultimately does, but nowhere to go as he is escorted out of bounds by veteran middle linebacker Javon Santos Knox. So it'll be a 3rd down coming up. Montreal to kick it away.
It looks like Caleb Evans having a little chat with some of his old buddies on that Ottawa sideline. A quick stop for the Ottawa defense will bring Devontae Dedman.
When you gonna get out there? Fourth quarter. You can't get out there with me.
Well, I don't know if he's referring to last August. Do you remember he got a start for the injured Cody Fajardo, engineered a 2-touchdown comeback in the 4th quarter, and broke the hearts of the REDBLACKS in that game.
I think that was just basic preseason chirps, suggesting that the guys who won't play till the 4th quarter might be in tough to make the team.
Dedman on the return, Alex Gagné. The special teams, and Louis Bourassa on the tackle. A 36-yard punt. How about the REDBLACKS and who they took in this 2024 draft?
Yeah, and one that's certainly going to be interesting to watch, Nick Mardner. Big receiver, 6'5", 6'6", Oakville, Ontario native. Well-traveled in his college career, but that included stops Hawaii, Cincinnati, before finishing up at Auburn. So relatively polished, experienced young Canadian receiver. This is a guy competing for a starting job here as a rookie.
Back to Drew Brown, out to the left. That's complete. Justin Hardy, and he has a 1st down. The leading receiver for the REDBLACKS last year, and just got over 1,000 yards receiving in the final game in 2023, a pickup of 12.
And just a play call that gets the ball into the hands of the playmakers in this Ottawa offense. Justin Hardy, certainly a guy who fits that description.
Up to the 49. 3-0 REDBLACKS lead it, and the injured running back, Raquel Armstead, is back in there now for Ottawa. Brown is passing. Has an open receiver. Khalil Pimpleton has it. And inside the Montreal 30, as he had to wait for it, and he had enough space as it came down for the completion.
And Cleo Pimpleton is a guy who's looking to take advantage of an opportunity here tonight. Ottawa going with, as we've talked about it, a number of their starters, most of their starters here. Jalen Ackland sitting out with minor injury, just precautionary decision for them to sit him in this ball game. Cleo Pimpleton is the guy who's going to get the greatest benefit in terms of reps from his absence.
Gain of 33. Little fake there for Brown as he keeps rolling out, and he gets rid of it. That's off some fingertips down at the 10, falling incomplete. Looking for another one of the new comers to Ottawa and coming back at Dominic Rhymes. The changes to that red-black receiving corps, of course. Some good years in BC. He had a very good season. He hit 3 of them in Ottawa, including a 1,000-yard season in 2019.
Yeah, and Dominic Rhymes happy to be back here in Ottawa, obviously after really establishing himself here initially, but really becoming, I would say, a CFL star during his time with the BC Lions. A definite upgrade that he supplies to this receiving corps.
From the Montreal 28 and a 2nd and 10. Deep look to the end zone. No. Falls incomplete. The 3rd down coming up. Hardy, the intended target. Arthur Hamlin with them. You mentioned getting the start at safety. Marc-Antoine Duquois with that spot. And what a great year in his 3rd year Duquois had. And Hamlin with great lineage when it comes to Canadian football. His grandfather and uncle are Grey Cup champions. Father briefly playing in the CFL as well. And from Ottawa, so coming home here with the Alouettes. Getting the start as Lewis Ward will try to go 2 for 2 and a shorter one this time. He had a 52-yarder earlier. He is 2 for 2 as the REDBLACKS double their lead in this final preseason game for the Owls in Ottawa. A day the Alouettes will never forget. The last game of 2023, the Grey Cup in Hamilton. Cody Fajardo. Remember that one-handed catch by Austin Mack. And then into the end zone, and Kavion Anto with a big interception, denying Winnipeg would look like sure points. And the touchdown by Tyson Philpott with only 13 seconds to go as Montreal pulled off the upset and beat the Blue Bombers to win the Grey Cup for the first time in 13 years. Flag down on that catch by Barbone as he turns around and has enough for a 1st down. Excuse me, no flag. Looked like there was after he caught it. So Barbone with a couple of catches in this one. Gain of 15 yards.
Yeah, another new face in that receiving corps. Just looking for an opportunity. Think about the way the guys stepped up last year. Tyler Sneed, Cole Speaker.
Caught, and Santos Knox hits him right away. Nothing doing there. Santos Knox, another one who came over as a free agent last year but missed half the season. Took him a while to get going with Ottawa.
Javon Santos Knox, one of the guys they really count on to lead both vocally and emotionally for this squad. And additionally, by his actions on the field, very productive guy through his time in the league, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Hamilton, and now Ottawa.
Great timing after the catch by Stevie Scott. A loss of 6 yards, 2nd and 16. Evans looking to take off again. He does. Midfield and a little bit more as Caleb Evans, still well shy of a 1st down, just gets it into the Ottawa zone. And a 3rd down coming up.
Chance for Montreal's special teams. Again, even on specials, featuring some faces that you may not see during the regular season, but a number of guys out there who are competing for spots on special teams. Devontae Dedman, pretty good challenge for them here in
midfield. Dedmon's gone. Will it be coming back? Devontae Dedmon with a REDBLACKS touchdown. But pending the call. Well, regardless.
During the return, holding Ottawa number 42. 10-yard penalty, first down Ottawa.
So they flagged James Peter on the hold, but I was going to say, regardless, Dedmon certainly making a statement in the preseason that he still has the skill set to get it done with those explosive returns.
Come on, 42, we're better than that.
So instead of a touchdown, it is called back. REDBLACKS leading by 6, but they'll start back deep in their own zone. Farhan Lalji joining us on the sidelines with more on the return of Dominic Rhymes. Farhan.
Yeah, you guys mentioned the homecoming for Rhymes after spending his first 3 seasons in Ottawa and the last 3 in BC. And he said to me when it was pretty clear that the Lions and he would part, it was a no-brainer for him to come back here. He stayed in touch with a number of those players from when he was here the first time. They tweeted at general manager Sean Burke to encourage him to get Rhymes back. But more than anything, his fiancee Mackenzie is from the Ottawa area here. So he says it's been so refreshing that during training camp and when we practice on off days, I can come home and I can spend the time with her. But he comes back as an established star, and he's such a critical piece of this Ottawa REDBLACKS receiving core. And he believes they can be just as good as some of the vaunted Lions receiving groups of the last couple of years, because as long as he's healthy and Braylon Ackland's healthy, or Braylon Addison, I should say, that gives them 4 guys with 1,000-yard receiving resumes. And, you know, they can all play off one another. It's also allowed them to get back into the right spots. Rhymes is now playing at the number 2 strong spot, so he's a little closer to the ball than when he was in Ottawa last time. And Ackland gets to go back to the boundary side X position where he can be more effective. So he just thinks they're all going to be better off as long as they stay healthy. The sky's the limit.
Certainly loving to have Dominic Rhymes back in Ottawa, Farhan, and you saw Khalil Pimpleton, who with Ackland out is getting the start in that spot tonight and just had the catch.
Yeah, but a great point by Dominic Rhymes in terms of the resume, the CFL accomplishments that exist within this receiving core if they can all come together at the same time. Great opportunity here in these divisions.
With the pressure coming, and Brown gets it off. A short gain there, if any at all, actually. Could be a loss of a yard or 2 for Justin Hardy.
Yeah, I was going to suggest earlier, Montreal may have a lot of defensive starters at home, but they still offer the confusion created by a Noel Thorpe defensive scheme, making life difficult for even veteran quarterbacks.
And wasn't that Thorpe defense on fire, especially in the Eastern Final, forcing 9 turnovers for the 16-2 Argos last year, and then the performance in the Grey Cup as well. Movement at the line. Brown gets it off to the right. Rhymes is popped. Hit hard just as the ball came in. Bryce Cosby. And Rhymes is slow to get it.
Offside, Montreal number 97. It's 5-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
Well, we've seen Bryce Cosby in on a couple of plays in the early going of this ball game. Here, a well-timed arrival to separate Dominic Rhymes from the football.
What is it? So with the offside penalty, it's up to the 31 and a 2nd and 6 now for the REDBLACKS with a 2-field goal lead on this Montreal squad. With, as mentioned, a lot of the starters resting. Good defensive plays by the Owls. And that one is intercepted. Najee Murray, the veteran, is hauled down inside the Ottawa 40. He was deflected into the hands of Murray, who wasn't able to play in the Grey Cup last year because of a torn pectoral muscle and could only watch. But looking forward to this season even more as we've got a turnover in this game.
And Maroon, one of a handful of veterans participating in this game for Montreal, comes up big, and that one's got to feel good for him, Rod, after an injury-plagued 2023 season, as you mentioned. Veteran guy, long-serving Alouette, denied the opportunity to play in that big Grey Cup win.
Come on.
There you see defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe.
Just as you were talking about that Alouette defense, and coming up with a turnover now, Michael Herzog, rookie as a running back, one of the draft picks for Montreal that we talked about. From Windsor, Ontario, and has a carry in this game.
Yeah, young Canadian, very productive during his career at Hillsdale College. You know, some may see him as a little bit undersized, but great work ethic, grinder guy, you can certainly tell. Takes his training and preparation very seriously.
And you talk about the depth of the Alouettes, especially with Canadians at running back, with Sean Thomas Erlington being added and Jess Renantwe already there. Adding Herzog. Bryce Carter is chasing down Evans. They can't get to him. He goes way back. And will try to salvage something as he just tosses it while he's heading out of bounds. It was Carter initially chasing him who led the Red Blacks in sacks last season.
Yeah, big breakout year for Bryce Carter with 12 sacks a year ago. Caleb Evans leading the Red Blacks defensive line on that conditioning drill. Pretty good run around, some changes of direction.
Well, as it is right now, 2nd and 7, we see a flag out.
Intentional grounding. Montreal number 3. It's lost it down. It's 3rd down.
Calling it on Montreal number 5, and a loss it down there, so a 3rd down coming up. And the ball way back, close to midfield. Spotted at the Ottawa 52. So Dedman in, had a punt return touchdown called back by penalty last time around. Get a chance to touch the ball again here is the punter Joseph Zima in his 4th season out of Incarnate Word, the Aussie.
Interesting to watch. There's good placement by Zima on the last punt, sort of inside the 5-yard line, out around the numbers. You would think that Dedman might let it bounce into the end zone, but he's been so dynamic on returns. Yeah, you're going to catch that ball every time if you hit.
Goes off to the right, gets a hop, and a beautiful punt. Couldn't ask for anything better as it rolls out at the 2. No chance at all for Dedman. Zima, who we remember the Eastern Final in particular, did a terrific job against a dangerous, explosive returner for the Argos. A 50-yard punt there for Zima.
Yeah, and I find this to be an interesting decision by Montreal, considering that it's a preseason game, you're evaluating people. Regular season, it's a no-brainer. Dedman is lined up way to the left when you're Zima kicking that ball. So he kicks it out to the wide side so he can get the ball on the ground, get it out of bounds. I might think in the preseason, you want to see your coverage guys, force them to cover, right? So you can evaluate people and get a return. I think Montreal has just seen enough of Devontae Dedman already. They're going, yeah, regular season adjustment is on. Let's get this thing out of bounds.
And he does get it out of bounds at the 2. So Drew Brown still in. Not sure how much playing time he will get. We are still in the first quarter. It is getting late, about a minute away in the first. And handing off. And that's Armstead, the ball carrier for Ottawa.
And this field position, as we talk about all the time, the limitations that you have in terms of your play calling from this position on the field. not just in terms of managing risk because you may be handing the ball off in the end zone or dropping back into the end zone, but also because if you are dropping back, you've only got a portion of the field to work with because you don't want to have to deal with throwing the ball around those goalposts.
Drew Brown is 5 for 10 for 73 yards. Has thrown an interception as well. Working from his end zone in the 2nd and 8. Over the middle, it should have been caught, but Rhymes saw it go in and out. So instead of a first down, Ottawa will have to punt from their end zone.
So you see Rhymes just trailing in the motion, 3-man set into the boundary. And he's going to hook up into that space. Just let the ball get into his body. Couldn't quite grab it in his hands to cushion that.
So Richie Leone will go about 10 yards deep. This will be the final play of the first quarter. Tyjon Lindsay is the Alouette returner who is back for it. As Montreal should be in good shape to start quarter number 2. Lindsay back at his 51. Breaking to the left. Picks up a block. Finds some room. Good return inside the 40. 30. And down inside the 25 before he is hauled down by Aiden John. So yes, indeed, this Alouettes team trailing by 6. But in good shape to start the second quarter. Lindsay looking to crack the roster, and plays like that certainly won't help. Nice return. Alouettes have the ball when we come back. Through one quarter of the nation's capital in the final preseason game for the Red Blacks and the Alouettes. Ottawa does have the 6-0 lead. But considering all the Red Blacks starters, or most of them on offense, they might have expected more. Some good plays by Montreal's defense.
Yeah, Montreal defense, obviously, a little bit of it having to do with scheme, but also some enthusiastic young guys who are competing for jobs, doing a terrific job for them on that side of the football. For Ottawa, obviously, not just new faces, new guys in new positions, but a new scheme, new offensive coordinator, new face at quarterback, of course. They're still figuring things out, and bear in mind, Ottawa's got a bye in week 1, and so they've got a little bit more time to familiarize with one another and get things ready to roll.
For these two teams, what they have in common at the start of their season, their first opponent is Winnipeg. The Alouettes get them in a Grey Cup rematch in Winnipeg next week, and then the Red Blacks with the bye. The Bombers will be here in 2 weeks' time. That was a return of 35 yards by Lindsay to set up Montreal. Indeed. Stevie Scott. And the quarterback in there, by the way, is James Morgan. So Caleb Evans, it appeared, done for now anyway. Scott, the ball carrier. And this is James Morgan from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Yes, you might have guessed what team he cheered for growing up. In fact, he wore number 4 and then later number 12. I think he can figure that one out as well in the legendary Packer QBs, Favre and Rodgers.
Getting an opportunity here tonight out of Florida International.
So Morgan at QB. Little play fake. Throwing. End zone. No. It looked like a chance for a touchdown for Gendron there, but it falls incomplete, and a third down is coming up.
And that was a Darius Pickett, another of the key free agent signings for the Ottawa Red Blacks. He's playing that nickel linebacker spot. He arrives in coverage, but yeah, it looked like Gendron had an opportunity to make that touchdown grab. Here, close to home, got no guy from nearby, just across the river. And as you mentioned, product of the University of Ottawa.
They'll be thinking about that one too. Like a sure touchdown for the Alouettes instead. They're set up for a field goal try with the fullback David Dallaire doing the holding for David Cote, 4th year out of Laval. 14 yards away, up and through. And this Alouette team is on the board now. Remember earlier in the first quarter, Devontae Dedmon had a punt return for a touchdown negated by this penalty, Dwayne.
Yeah, and keep an eye right up in the top left corner of your screen. It's the battle going on behind as you see 4 players in there. Second-year linebacker James Peter, another University of Ottawa product, gets the takedown in a bit of a wrestling match type of thing that occurs occasionally on special teams, but that one gets called a hold.
And that's all y'all can do.
So the Deadman return comes back.
That close to having 2 punt return touchdowns in this preseason to go along with that one last week in Ottawa, but no, called back. No touchdowns yet in this game. The quarterback remains Drew Brown to start this second quarter for Ottawa in a 6-3 lead. Tossing it inside, Braylon Addison on the sweep. Up near the 50. Addison. Very close to a red flag first down.
I mean, this is Braylon Addison, Tommy Condell, Hamilton a few years back. Bread and butter stuff, getting Braylon Addison involved in the run game. He's coming from the right side of your screen in motion. Just that little underneath toss and turn it up. So attacking in the run game from all different angles, all different gaps on the field.
And exactly 10 yards. So a first down, red flags. Armstead, the ball carrier, and fights his way to the right to pick up a couple of yards. A second and long coming up here for Ottawa. You mentioned the change. One of the significant changes at offensive coordinator, long time with the Ticats, Tommy Condell, calling the plays now for Ottawa.
Yeah, second stint for Tommy Condell in Ottawa. I believe he was a Renegades offensive assistant at the start of his now lengthy CFL career.
Back in the Renegades days, the Ottawa Renegades, that was 2002 through 2005, 4 seasons. 9 more years before the REDBLACKS were born. Brown, and it's caught, but a flag is out. That's Hardy down near the 40.
Yeah, I think Braylon Addison was offside on that one. She'll bring it back.
Antonio Moultrie, injured Alouette.
Yeah, went down late at the end of the play.
We have offside against the offense and the defense on the same play. Those fouls offset. It's repeat second down.
So back they go to the Ottawa 52 to run that play again.
Last play never happened.
Never did. Remove it from the archives. And a second and long still again for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. Jason Maas starting his second year as head coach in Montreal.
What do you do for an encore?
Exactly. It's been perfect so far. Wins a championship. He had 4 years as head coach in Edmonton. No year like that last season with the Alouettes. Brown with time. Another Moultrie. TD nearly caught. Instead, it's Armstead on the receiving it up at about the 55, right at midfield, and the punting unit will come on again.
So another penalty perhaps haunting the Ottawa REDBLACKS here.
Yeah, Brown 8 for 14 for 100 yards and that one interception, but still we have not seen just an impressive drive by that Ottawa offense yet in this game. Richie Leone, who took a hard hit on the last big punt return, back in there. Lindsay with it, and the big return before. Here he goes again. Down the sidelines, Lindsay. He's making a statement so far. We saw this a year ago between these teams in the preseason from the guy by the name of James Letcher, who had some big returns. We never heard his name again until late in the season. He became a big part of that Alouettes team. A 38-yard return to go along with the big one he had before. Because Lindsay puts the Owls in better shape. 6-3 the score, second quarter. It's time to set the tone and give them the lumber. Don't miss all new episodes of the hilarious and hard-hitting comedy sensation Shoresy. Stream now, only on Crave. TD Place in Ottawa, the 10th year for the Ottawa REDBLACKS 10 years ago. Their first game here at what was old Lansdowne Park, home of the old Rough Riders and Renegades. But a decade of REDBLACKS football, and they're still leading by 3. And you see it's James Morgan still in at quarterback for Montreal as he hands it off to Stevie Scott on that carry. Second down coming up.
Yes, an opportunity here for James Morgan to try, not necessarily to earn a roster spot, but maybe to earn a longer look here in Montreal. You also expect to see Davis Alexander in this ball game. Obviously, Cody Fajardo, the starter.
And I'm sure, given where he grew up, you're just shocked that he was a Packers fan as a kid.
Yes.
Imagine being just steps from Lambeau Field. The Ottawa 53 Morgan completes that one to Lindsay. I'm busy in the punt return department, but just coming back to the ball, and it's a third down still.
And how about Lindsay in the return game and the string of returners that Montreal has had here over the last few years, and obviously outstanding history of returners in Montreal over about the last probably 30 plus years.
Yeah.
But you think about, you know, I mean, Lindsay having a big game here, but obviously James Letcher at the end of last year. Chandler Worthy had the monster year the year before. Mario Alford was outstanding before Worthy arrived.
And they've added a returner. Khalil Pimpleton is back there for the return as well. And he does take it. Pimpleton, the newcomers in the REDBLACKS, and he gets popped just across the 25. Preseason ball in Ottawa on the final day of May. REDBLACKS lead it. As you might expect, the REDBLACKS made some significant changes in the offseason. Look at coming in, not just Drew Brown and Darius Pickett and Dominic Rhymes, Darius Bladek on the offensive line too, but a lot of players who were here a year ago no longer here, Dwayne.
Yeah, and this is obviously not a surprise when you consider what the record of the team has been. Change has to happen. You look at the guys that were brought in, obviously some expected to be very impactful. When you talk about Drew Brown at quarterback, Pickett on defense, Rhymes in the receiving corps. All-star caliber players coming in.
And Rykel Armstead. And there is a question, as mentioned, at running back for Ottawa, too, with the injury in April, the Achilles injury for Devontae Williams with over 1,000 yards rushing. So that's one of the questions still as they try to certainly answer it at quarterback and shore up the receiving corps as well. After the 4 by Armstead. Drew Brown. He completes it. First down. That's Hardy with it. They get up close to their 40.
So Justin Hardy coming off something of a breakout season. Now in his third CFL year, you see him finding that open space versus zone coverage, sitting it down over the middle. That's fine.
For a gain of 17, and that is off to Braylon Addison as you see back-to-back completions there for Brown and up close to the REDBLACK 50, and another first down as Ottawa's offense has a bit of a drive going here all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's got 3 receivers out to that wide side. Just going to run basically all hooks. Drive your defender back, turn and peek.
Number 49, Brown. Coming back in is Pimpleton. Khalil Pimpleton gets it down near the Alouette 50. 3 straight solid passing plays, and this one, if not a first down, is awfully close, probably about 6 inches shy. As they work tempo and get quickly over the ball. So on the keeper to get those 6 inches, and the flags do come out on that second down and short.
We saw
offside, Montreal, number 47. 5-yard penalty. Makes it a first down.
We saw Khalil Pimpleton on the earlier catch that set up that short yardage play. Mentioned the guy thus far making the most of his opportunity. A little bit smaller receiver, obviously.
Getting more reps, too, with news coming just before the game that Jalen Ackland, as a precaution more than anything else, is not suited up for this one tonight. The drive continues at the 46. That one is incomplete. Right around the Alouette 40 and intended for Pimpleton.
Well, we talk about the signing of Drew Brown, and you know, one of the conversations that I personally have found interesting when you look at Brown and Taylor Cornelius were at Oklahoma State at the same time. Cornelius was the starter, Brown was backing him up, and that may surprise people given sort of the trajectory of their respective CFL careers. But this is where I point to the opportunity or the situation that each of them were in. You think about the way Winnipeg's organization has been set up, veteran guys, veteran quarterback ahead of them.
Deflected, nearly intercepted, but there's a penalty coming up against the Alouettes for movement at the line. Looked like Kevon Bennett had jumped. Wait for the call. But we're looking at coincidental offsides again.
Offside against Montreal, number 93, and offside against Ottawa. Those penalties will offset or will remain second down.
Just to finish that thought in terms of the quarterbacks, but Drew Brown in a position where he was never rushed into action and had a veteran quarterback to learn from. Just circumstantially in Edmonton, very different situation for Taylor Cornelius.
Completely different.
And things work out very differently for each of them, but situation in which you find yourself as a young player coming into the league can so often impact your path.
Not to mention what Drew Brown could learn from Zach Collaros, all those games, all that time as an understudy. He faces some heat there, and he just gets away. He was nearly sacked by that's Ifai Maje, who came in, number 96. So it's a third down coming up here now.
Yeah, good use of the hands there. Ifai Maje.
Coming out of Rutgers, so Leone back, the Ottawa 47. Punch this one away. And Lindsay can't do much with that one. Another good punt by Leone. To prevent any further damage from 88, who's had a couple of big returns in this game. Still a 6-3 game, Ottawa in front. There's Charleston Rambo. Could be an opportunity for a new receiver in Montreal. Let's go back to Farhan.
We saw how well that worked out for Austin Mack a year ago, where he just tore the CFL up in his first year before heading back to the NFL. And I talked to Rambo about it and whether or not he's watched Mack's journey and knows all about him. And he says he knows a little bit, but he's on his own path. And that included being recruited in a receiving class with names like CeeDee Lamb and Marquise Hollywood Brown back in 2017. Those guys moved ahead of him in the first year. Eventually, he got his, had a couple of very productive seasons in Oklahoma before moving on to Miami for 1 year where he had 79 receptions for almost 1,200 yards. Still wound up being undrafted. The guy has caught passes from the likes of Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and while his trajectory might not be as linear as theirs, he just loves the game and wants to continue playing regardless of where that takes him. As for his opportunity here. Jason Moss says he's done some very good things throughout training camp, and he's starting to earn his trust, and that's the most important thing. But these preseason games matter a lot because you can flash in practice when there's a script, but what do you do here when it's unscripted? So he likes what he's seen so far, but the Alouettes also have some veteran options, so we'll see if he gets the same opportunity that Mac did a year ago when the Owls had some injuries.
And your point's well taken, Farhan. Mac made an impression in the preseason and the first game of the regular season against the Ottawa REDBLACKS. Quickly out of the game, what a great year he had. Stevie Scott, his best run of this game. And at running back end, gets it up across the Alouette 40.
Yeah, well, and it's so much about opportunity in the preseason as we have the conversation about Austin Mack a year ago, Charleston Rambo this year. The situation last year was you had some veteran guys in Montreal, Greg Ellingson, Reggie White, who were injured. The door was wide open. They needed somebody to step up. And fortunately, Austin Mack, an experienced professional receiver, was able to quickly adapt from the American game to the Canadian game and have an impact.
On the first down after an 18-yard gain. And there's Genre and Alonzo Adai, third-year safety, coming in to take him down for a short gain.
But some of what happened last year with injuries and people stepping up, well, now guys like Tyler Snead and Cole Speaker, who were young guys fighting for some of that playing time a year ago, are now kind of established veterans in that receiving corps. And Rambo has to fight his way through them. So you talk about the path being different. I mean, there's one of the big differences in terms of the situation between Rambo and Mack arriving in Montreal.
No gain to second and 10. Morgan, and off to the left, receiver falling down, and that is Rambo. So incomplete, and third down, and punting team is coming up. Money Hunter in on the coverage there for Ottawa.
Yeah, Money Hunter to battle back after an injury plague 2023 season.
So a new punter in. It's Sam Clark. Been backing up Joseph Zima. In to kick it away now. Tobias Harris back on the return now for Ottawa. And he goes backwards to see if he can get around the left. He does. Find some space. Flag comes out. And it looks like another good punt return is going to be negated by penalty as Harris takes it out of bounds. Looks like it'll be coming back. Preseason punt there by Clark, and just a beautiful night in Ottawa along the canal.
Coming up at the half, these guys will not be giving me a haircut, but we will be talking about big plays from special teams. And what's with all the animosity? Although we've got only love for our guys, Rod Smith and Dwayne Ford.
Stay strong, Mark. Keep that hair, keep that flow going. Milt used to pressure me on that. Take it right down. We'll hear from, Milton Ches here in Ottawa. So Mark and Enoch and Coach coming up at halftime. Thoughts on this game? In this first half, 6-3, 3 field goals scored in it. And Drew Brown still in a quarterback for Ottawa. Over the middle, it's caught. Good throw, and it is caught there from Ryan McDaniel, who has his first catch in this preseason game.
Yeah, beautiful throw there. Big one down the middle for Drew Brown. Nice protection. Nice timing there on the connection. McDaniel, big receiver. Here competing for a backup spot with the REDBLACKS.
In his first year out of NC Central, McDaniel. First down now across the 40, then quickly working and right back to him. Back-to-back McDaniel up across the 50. And a second and short coming up.
Mixing it up there for McDaniel. Listed at 6'2", 210, 215.
Brown now 13 of 20 for 156. REDBLACKS yet to find the end zone. Getting late here in the first half. Down to the 2-minute mark. Running back takes the Not quite, actually. Excuse me. I jumped the gun there. They're about a foot shy. They spot the football on the carry by Hill. So up at the 52. Short, and a first down for Ottawa up near midfield. Dustin Crum, the ball carrier.
I was going to say, feels a little weird to not see Dustin Crum out there taking every snap after he was pressed into action early last season. Ottawa battling all sorts of injuries at quarterback.
Well, the first quarterback last season was Nick Arbuckle because Jeremiah Masoli was not yet ready with that knee injury from the year before. And then it was Tyree Adams, and he got hurt. And then Masoli made the start in Hamilton and sadly got injured again, this time Achilles, so Crum was called into action. That's Pimpleton from Brown, and another first down, so they're working their way downfield, but yeah, gain of 11.
Yeah, just taking advantage of Pimpleton's speed on a crossing route here.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Create a little bit of traffic for the defenders trying to follow him. That freed up the shifty receiver. Pick up that first down grab.
Go down to the Montreal 45. REDBLACKS hoping to increase their lead before halftime. I'm sure they prefer to do it with the touchdown variety as Brown rolls to his right, looking. And it is caught by Pimpleton.
No!
Not giving him the catch. No, he caught it, but a foot not in bounds or out of bounds, and so back it comes.
Lone receiver, quick out and up. A little throw behind.
You can see his foot had, on the other one, his foot had touched the line before the ball arrived. So good call. 2nd and 10.
Timeout, Montreal.
It looks like Drew Brown is going the full first half here as Jason Moss has called a timeout. Remember, one of the first times we really took notice of Drew Brown early in the 2022 season against the Ottawa REDBLACKS when Zach Collaros was taken out of the game for concussion protocol, and they were down by a point in the final minute. He went 3 for 3, drove them down, they kicked the field goal, and beat the REDBLACKS in that game early in the 2022 season.
Our first indication that the stage wouldn't be too big for Drew Brown. Tough situation to be pressed into action. He got the job done.
Another 2nd and 10. Flags out again. It is caught. It is complete. Is it coming back? Braylon Addison. We've had 2 situations where offside has been called in both teams, and they've had to replay the down.
Defensive line. The penalty would decline. The result of the play is a first down.
But this time, it's just Montreal offside, so another first down. Best drive of the night for the REDBLACKS so far.
Yeah, you saw right over the center. Early movement. Doesn't matter to Drew Brown as he hits Braylon Addison.
At the Alouette 32, 1:14 in the clock until halftime. Quickly working again to Addison as he gets it down closer to the 25. Another veteran, Nafis Lyon there, but
yeah, Drew Brown seeming to settle into a little bit of a groove here late in the first half. No doubt he'd like to close out the opening 30 by adding a major to his stats sheet.
On a 2nd and 3. And no, looking for McDaniel again, but not close enough as it's a 3rd down coming up. And Brown goes to 17 for 26, playing a lot more in this game tonight than he did last week against the Ticats in Hamilton, where he went 4 for 6 for 26 yards. Didn't even play the entire first quarter.
Yeah, and it has very much become the norm for CFL teams to distribute their preseason playing time in a way that starters are going to play a lot at home, a lot of younger guys, backups, etc., playing more on the road. So that speaks to the relative rosters that you're seeing for each team tonight.
Lewis Ward 2 for 3 now as he is wide as Lindsay tries to bring it out and does. Tyjon Lindsay gets it up to the 15, so no more points on the board for the Red Blacks on the miss by Ward. 42 seconds to go until halftime.
And like the decision there, again, preseason, but like the decision to bring it out, don't give up points in the last minute. When you don't need to. Good run there by Lindsay, who has certainly flashed in the return game.
The #1 quarterback for the Owls, Cody Fajardo, not playing in this game tonight. Caleb Evans got the start, went a quarter. It's been James Morgan here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and Davis Alexander, not expected to play tonight, banged up a little bit.
Michael Herzog, the ball carrier for Montreal.
So we may get an extended opportunity for James Morgan. And for a guy like Michael Herzog as well. Again, they've got some Canadian depth at running back that they could elect to go that way in terms of the starting lineup.
2nd and 7, and down goes Morgan. The Red Blacks pick up a sack. That's Mike Wakefield. Had some time in Montreal, more of it in Ottawa, but takes down Morgan, 24 on the clock. 3rd and long, Alouettes.
Yeah, competition in a lot of positions here in the preseason, but one group that is pretty set for these Ottawa Red Blacks, that front four. Bryce Carter and Lorenzo Malden on the ends. Cleon Lang and the aforementioned Mike Wakefield at the tackle spots.
So Javon Santos Knox firing him up there and hoping for a full healthy season after missing a lot of time to start with his new team a year ago coming over from Hamilton. 18 seconds and counting. Sam Clark in the punt for the Alouettes. They look to just be down 3 heading into the dressing room. And that's Tobias Harris at midfield. Well, Lewis Ward's had a 52-yarder in this game so far, and they're in closer range than that right now to see once again if they can tack on 3 more before halftime.
And when I talked about Lindsay running the missed field goal out earlier, this was not the scenario that Montreal envisioned, right? You hope your offense can go out and get a first down, maybe 2. At least run out the clock and not give Ottawa another opportunity, but Ottawa's defense steps up, gets the ball back quickly for their offense. So an opportunity to put late points on the board still exists for Drew Brown and the Red Blacks out.
So time to run a play here before attempting another field goal for Drew Brown.
Hey, the left tackle is jumping, ref.
No. That one is dropped, intended for number 31, Kylan Hill. So 6 seconds to go. Offense staying out.
So maybe time for one quick hitter to try and get it into field goal range, but we'll see. They may opt to just take a shot at the end zone here.
Maybe preseason game. Good work quickly, and down goes Braylon Addison with the feast lying there. So now Lewis Ward will come out and benefits from getting a few more yards from that decision to go with one quick play with 2 seconds left in the clock. And scrimmaging at the 36, so it'll be about a 43-yarder. Being put down right at the 43 for Ward, who was mentioned as 2 for 3. His first one, though, at 52 yards the other way back in the first quarter. Out and down and kicked, and it hit the upright. So Ward goes 2 for 4. And a couple of shots at adding to this lead. It stays at just 3 points. He had missed to the right on that last one, so compensating, going to the left, and it hit from his vantage point the left upright.
Well, even Lewis Ward working out some preseason kicks.
Preseason football. And in particular for the Red Blacks, who has mentioned, went with most of their projected starters in that first quarter. Let's go down to Farhan now with Drew Brown.
Drew, you've moved the ball at times, but haven't necessarily been able to finish. How would you assess the half?
I mean, we did as bad as we possibly could.
Yeah.
You know, I think we got to focus. I mean, we got to come out here and play with some intention. I think that we might have a little bit of, at least offensively, like it's a preseason game. It's not a preseason game. This is our first opportunity to come out and compete as an offense, as the #1 offense. We got to be better. I got to be better. Everyone has to be better.
You don't have Ackland. Looks like you're not going to have Rhymes for the rest of this game at least. Does that matter at a time like this?
I mean, those are great players, obviously, but we got plenty of talented young guys, and we expect them to come in and do their job.
Drew, thanks for this. Good luck in the second half.
Appreciate it.
And we do expect Drew Brown to see some time in the third quarter. But for now, let's send it over to Mark Rowe in the panel.
Thank you, Farhan. In the panel consists of Jim Barker and Enoch Mwamba. Drew Brown is not approaching this like a preseason game. Very critical of Ottawa's offense. And Enoch, when the score is 6-3, naturally the first topic is special teams.
Absolutely, special teams, and you saw a lot of sparks on special teams, including a guy who everybody knows across the league can be dangerous in Dedmon, and he's got a lot of returns already. Right now, 104 in total, both in punt as well as kickoff, and he had one called back, Mark, that one mistake really could have been another touchdown on the board. He had one last week, and so now you look at him in Ottawa, and then on the other side, you got Lindsay, who's making a lot of noise. He's got a lot of competition. I mean, Montreal already likes Letcher, but he's coming in here and making it hard for the coaching staff and management to make a difference and to let him go through the door. And so now, what is going to happen in the second half for those young guys?
11 punts in that first half. We know that the final score is somewhat secondary in the preseason because, Jim, there are competitions within the competition, including at right tackle for Ottawa.
Right. To me, that's the biggest competition on the field is 2 years ago, the second pick in the draft, Zach Pelahos, against Dante Bull, last year's first pick in the draft. This is Pelahos. He misses one, then he has one. This is Bull. This is kind of what the coaches do. He goes, he gets hit, gets knocked off, can't block anybody in the run game, and then here, boom, he stays with the guy, blocks. That's what you have to do to be the guy. One of those guys is going to start at right tackle for Ottawa. They don't know who it is right now. So this second half could be very important for both of those guys. I wanted to show the fans exactly what the things coaches look at, and they'll take plays of each one, and they'll say, here's a good one, bad one, and which one's going to be the best for us.
All right, so Ottawa's up 3 at the half as we welcome in two guys who I thought were my friends, Milt Stiegel and Davis Sanchez, because they're insistent that I get my hair chopped off tonight. I don't know where the animosity's coming from, guys, although that might be the theme of the night, considering what we saw from the REDBLACKS and Alouettes.
Yeah, and it's been entertaining being on the sideline and just seeing all the chippiness and smack talking. And Darius Pickett came by us and said, those guys on the Montreal Alouettes who are talking, and they won't even be there next week. So it's been very entertaining what's going on the sideline.
Hey, it's interesting. Pickett did say that, and there was a lot of chatter. Me and Milt, just before that, we're talking to each other. Don't you think there's got to be a baseline of success in the league before you can be in street clothes talking that much smack? Maybe 5 5 years. Let's say 5 years in pro football. Any pro football, 5 years. Great Cup victory. Yeah, CFL All-Star. You at least got to be one of those before you're in street clothes jibber-jabbering that much. Yeah, but let's get back to football.
Yeah, but on a serious note, if I'm the Ottawa REDBLACKS right now, I'm concerned. You know, you have all your starters. You're playing against a team, let's be honest, who has no starters. Majority of these guys are going to be playing next week, and you're only up 6-3. So there has to be concern with Bobby Dice and what he sees out of his team so far.
How much do these starters play in the third quarter?
Third quarter, maybe fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They don't have a game the opening week. They have a bye week. So they have to build up some confidence, and the only way you do that is getting on the field and making some plays.
Say what you want about it only being the preseason. I'm not buying it. This is not a good look for Ottawa. I will say this. The one thing about Drew Brown, he's got a big arm. He's athletic. They're not going to be offense going to dink and dime up the field and have success. I don't see that in them yet, efficiency-wise, but he's got to use that big arm, take shots down the field and make plays. You saw that one big throw off of one leg in the first quarter. More of that is much needed in the second half.
And I think I've been talking too much smack to Chaz. I done lost my voice, but I'm going to get it back this second half. Back to you, Mark.
Wash your hair, too.
Yeah. Yeah, Milt, save that for the season. Come on. We're glad that you're in Ottawa for all of your gibber and jabbering. It's 6-3 REDBLACKS at the half.
And I won't stop till the wind's all mine, and I'm standing on the top of my goal. I won't quit till the goal's raised high, and I triumph in the face of my foes. I won't stop. I know it's gonna take a lot of pain just to see the game, but I promise that I won't quit till the winner's being crowned. Yeah, I swear I feel it's right in my soul. I won't stop.
The 111th Grey Cup will be in Vancouver this year. The BC Lions will be hosting the Edmonton Elks. That's game 2 of our doubleheader later tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific. And much like we're seeing from Ottawa tonight, the Lions will play a lot of their starters, including Vernon Adams Jr. And Jim, even though he's an established starting quarterback who led the league in passing, why is tonight so important for him?
Well, this is a new offense. I mean, it's the same scheme. Jordan Maximic is still the coordinator, but now William Stanback is there. And he's going to add a dimension that Vernon Adams has to learn how to use him and how to use the threat of him. He also needs to get used to these receivers. Travis Fulgham is a guy nobody's heard of yet, but he's supposed to be a guy who's going to be a starter for them. They've lost Rhymes. Hatcher's on the 6-game list. Lucky Whitehead's a free agent. So there's for Vernon Adams, this is an important ball game, Enoch.
It's a huge game, Coach. You talked about it. The big theme for this team right now is chemistry. With the pressure of having the Grey Cup coming in, they have to start strong and play well throughout the course of the season, and obviously finish strong as well if they want to bring the Cup back in BC.
And we saw a lot of William Stanback there. That's a big part of the BC Lions and the backbone that you want to see from them.
Exactly. You want to see them understand how to use him, because he brings a threat just by who he is and forces defenses to do things differently, which is going to open up a whole new world from what they've been, which was kind of a non-physical, air-it-out offense. Now they can force people to play tight.
All right, the BC Lions coming off of back-to-back losses in the West Final, looking to get over the hump this fall. That's game 2 of our doubleheader. BC Lions, Edmonton Elks. But first, it's the second half. Ottawa up 3 over the Montreal Alouettes. Rod and Dwayne will have the call after the break.
Halftime in Ottawa, Drew Brown in at quarterback the entire half for the REDBLACKS. Dwayne, 206 yards, but still, they haven't been able to find the end zone.
Yeah, haven't been able to finish, and maybe that green zone offense still needs a little bit of work. They're just a couple weeks into camp, and obviously their starters didn't play much in the first preseason game. So as much as this is their second preseason game, not a lot of reps necessarily for Drew Brown and the starters in a new Tommy Condell scheme that all these guys haven't necessarily played in before. So like the production, operate on the assumption that the finish will come.
Tell you, good punt returning on both sides, including Montreal's Tyjon Lindsay standing by with Farhan Lalji.
Tyjon, 105 return yards on 3 returns. Just how do you assess your first half performance?
My first half performance, man, I just give all glory to God. You know what I'm saying? I just always keep my head on the swivel, just trying to make something happen each and every time I touch the ball, trying to be exciting. You know, this is a job interview, and this is our last preseason game, so I'm trying to make everything happen that I can for my team.
For you personally, it's your first experience in Canadian football. As a returner, how much are you enjoying the wide field?
Oh, I love it, man. It's a lot of space and opportunity for me to just get loose and make anything happen, you know what I'm saying? So I love how this field is, and it's a lot of plays going to be made soon here.
Thanks for this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And look who it is. Obviously a recorded interview with Lindsay taking the ball.
Oh, the magic of television.
It is. People might be wondering, how did he get out there?
He is so fast.
I mean, we know he's fast. We saw that, but he left Farhan and just went running out and caught the ball anyway. So on the return, and yeah, that young man he's made an impression in this preseason game.
Fucking dogs.
We talked about it before in this preseason game between these two teams just about a year ago. We heard the name James Letcher, and when Chandler Worthy got hurt late last season, Letcher came on, and 3 return touchdowns, just dynamic, and had a kick return touchdown in the Eastern Final as well. The importance of special teams in the CFL. And a deep ball, and it's caught down at the 35. That's Charleston Rambo on the receiving end from James Morgan.
The thing I love watching this play as it unfolded right underneath us here in the booth is the way that Rambo explodes at the end of this play to go and get the football. Didn't have separation when the ball first went up. In fact, the defender was over top, Money Hunter. But you see Rambo gets on top, uses that arm to sort of get himself over the top on the defender. Make that diving grab.
Good play for the Elks offense to start the second half. And open through the middle, too, for the Stevie Scott on that carry as he gets it close to another first down. He gets about 9 yards, a little bit more, too, inside the Ottawa 30.
You heard Jim Barker talking at halftime about William Stanback's offseason move from Montreal to BC. Stevie Scott, perhaps a guy looking to provide that Stanback type big back. The Alouettes scheme this year.
So Morgan keeps on the short yardage. Looks like he has it. Just had to get to the 28. This drive will continue for Montreal. Alouettes, a lot of the starters resting in this one tonight, getting set for their season opener in the Grey Cup rematch. Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg. The Bombers and the Alouettes to start the season next Thursday night on TSN. What great memories Jason Maas would have of that day in Hamilton last November. Underdogs to the Bombers, and such a close game. Going and hit for good with 13 seconds to go. Cody Fajardo to Tyson Fulton. Stevie Scott again. And on the move, down inside the 25. So another second and short coming up here for the Alouettes.
A great start to this second half for the Alouettes offensively. Nice to see a guy in Charleston Rambo who's been much talked about throughout their camp. Providing the spark, making a big play, continuing his strong preseason.
39-yard catch from Rambo earlier in this drive. The big play is that they keep it going off to the left now, and it falls shy of the intended receiver, Lindsay, with Damon Webb there.
Field goal team making its way on the field for the Alouettes here, but nonetheless. Good spark here for the offense to get things going, and maybe some confidence that can be built on for James Morgan as we see Jose Maltos.
Jose Maltos, remember a year ago, the backup kicker in now for the Alouettes. He had the game winner in the preseason, the final play, and they put him up, they celebrated. As he puts that one through to tie this game, they put him up and they celebrated up on their shoulders for Mexican kicker Jose Maltos, 6'6". Dwayne Ford keeps asking me, is it June yet? Is it June yet? Hang on. A little over 3 hours here in the Eastern time zone in Central, where it all begins. A little over 4 hours away. It's June, and then next Thursday night in Winnipeg, Grey Cup rematch. Bombers, Owls, followed by Tiger Cats, Stampeders, Riders, Elks on the Saturday, then the Sunday, the Lions and the Argonauts. Can't wait, partner.
Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. Another CFL season will begin right here on TSN. We got a tie game third quarter after the Alouettes drove down and got a Jose Maltos field goal. 6-6 and scored. Drew Brown still at quarterback for Ottawa. Oh, off some fingertips and could have been picked off too. That was dangerous. And that one is dropped.
There's your intended target. Ryan McDaniel getting a lot of looks from Drew Brown tonight, first-year receiver.
Did a couple of catches back-to-back in that second quarter. There's injured ball player down for Montreal. And that is Jason Adamilola, one of two twins signed by the Alouettes this year. They both went to Notre Dame. His brother, Justin, is on the injured list right now, and hopefully nothing serious there for Jason as he limps off.
Let's go inside.
Do you think with twins they're like sympathetic pains?
You'll have to ask Justin. Second and 10. REDBLACKS at their 40 for Drew Brown. Throwing again and off some fingertips. Again intended. There it was a bit behind his intended receiver, Hardy.
Action getting close to the sidelines here. Just off the hands of Hardy as he gets pushed. Tremendous quickness there by Didier Armagers of RDS. If I'm on the sidelines right now,
oh, this is easy work.
I am rushing to the top of the hip replacement list.
Didier was adept. On the return, Lindsay again. Nowhere to go this time as he's just pushed out by the REDBLACKS there. So back come the Alouettes for a punt of 46 yards. But certainly one of the names, as Farhan had talked to him and wanting to make an impression in a preseason game, and especially for Montreal with so many new faces in the lineup tonight. And presumably very few spots up for grabs for the defending champion team of Jason Moss. Some decisions for these two teams, for all 9 teams, have to be made after tonight. And the final cut down to get the rosters down to size for the start of a new CFL season, beginning, as mentioned, next Thursday, June the 6th. It's Morgan still in at quarterback. He's looking deep. A little collision and a flag comes out. The intended receiver, Frederick Antoine, and was bumping Tobias Harris there, and Harris doesn't like that call.
Pass interference, Ottawa number 41. Automatic first down.
Yeah, it did look to me like Harris wrapped him up. Antoine out of Laval. Really one of the stars of the CFL Combine. Physically impressive receiver. Never put up huge numbers, but you can see his left arm grabbed a little bit by Harris here as the ball is in the air. Not much question on that call.
So that puts them all the way up to the Ottawa 42 now. Stevie Scott, right side, breaks a tackle and puts his head down, and he manages to push his way close to another Montreal first down inside that 35. It'll be inches short, about a foot away on the second down.
I've been impressed with the way that James Morgan has thrown the ball here. the Montreal Alouettes, first-year quarterback coming in. Timing is very different, right? When you start factoring in a waggle, all your angles are different with the wider field, different hash positions, and so on.
Could have had a touchdown pass in that first half. On a well-thrown ball, but Morgan keeping it on second down and didn't get much, but looked to be enough. And the signal's been given now. It is a first down for Montreal.
Take a look down in the trenches. Good early push from Ottawa, but on second effort, Morgan gets it done.
From the 32, Scott again. So Darius Pickett, one of the newcomers, free agent signing for the Red Blacks, coming in and wrapping him up. Flags coming out again.
Yeah, and the chippiness and pushing and shoving at the end of that play. Looked like there may have been a headshot or two delivered. Now, that kind of thing's not going to help anybody make a team.
The referee is Tim Croker as they talk this one over, and as they're moving the ball up, looking like this is going to be another first down for the Alouettes by penalty.
Yeah, I mean, the last shot that I saw delivered before the flag.
15-yard misconduct foul against Ottawa number 9. It's half the distance to goal, an automatic first down.
Damon Webb is the one that gets flagged, and a 15-yarder too, hurting the Red Blacks that much more as the ball gets spotted down inside the 14 for the Alouettes. No team has scored a touchdown in this game tonight, and this is going to be the best chance here for Montreal and to take the lead. Receivers to the left, faking the handoff, going that way, it's intercepted. Tobias Harris. He got flagged for interference before. He's making up for it now. Biggest play of the game as he's still going, trying to get into the end zone for the Red Blacks touchdown.
Unfortunately for James Morgan, whom I had just said had been throwing the ball so well, this is just a bad throw. You're going to get motion coming from the backside with Lindsay. He's going to slip out to the flat. But Morgan overthrows him to the waiting arms of Tobias Harris. And of all guys to intercept the ball, this is a guy who's seen most of his action in the CFL to this point as a return man. He's right at home going the other way with it.
They finally get to cut a wood cookie there, but yeah, Harris in his second year at Old Dominion, you're right. After the injury early in the season to Devontae Dedmon and then Brandon Dandridge got hurt, Harris was a return guy. So in the secondary for this one tonight, and used to running longer distances. That was 101 yards on the return for the touchdown, and the Red Blacks needed a spark. To be sure about that, they got one for 41. In the first touchdown in this game, the one and only belonging to the defense in that pick six. Lewis Ward the point after. And the Red Blacks lead again, just as the Alouettes look to be taking the lead. Getting in close, it's a 13-6 Ottawa lead. On the touchdown by Tobias.
Well, the thing I didn't detect in the first look at that interception was the impact of Javon Santos-Knox. It wasn't an overthrow by James Morgan, but a ball that gets deflected by the linebacker coming around the edge. That one's off his left hand. That knocks it upfield. Essentially, they're setting up a wall there, basically blocking for Lindsay in the flat. Angle of that ball has changed, goes directly to Harris, who was being blocked at the time. He turns it into 6 going the other way.
So the Alouettes, who had moved the ball so well, right up until that interception by Harris for the touchdown, immediately get the offense back on the field. The return there by the rookie Herzog. So back he comes, and you had talked about this, Dwayne. A mistake there, although as you saw it deflected slightly at the line, but Morgan hasn't played badly. In fact, as I say, there was a pass earlier that should have been the touchdown.
Hell yeah!
We needed that for one.
As a first-year quarterback, seeing this action so early in his career, I've been reasonably impressed with what Morgan has done for the Owls so far.
He's right back out there now and handing off to Herzog. Rookie Michael Herzog, one of the Alouettes draft picks in 2024 from Hillside College in Michigan. And the Windsor native with a good carry there to set up a 2nd and inches.
And you see a little bit of the burst, the explosiveness. Michael Herzog. His older brother Zach spent a little bit of time in the league with both Saskatchewan and Hamilton. Defensive back. Hillsdale College in Michigan, not far from his Windsor, Ontario home. So both brothers went to school.
So passing on this 2nd and short, they have a down to work with. Looking deeper into double coverage. That one falls incomplete, but flags are out. Intended for Rambo. A couple of Red Blacks were there. And it looks like it's going to be another Alouette first down via penalty.
Pass interference, Ottawa number 20. Automatic first down, spotted foul.
Here you'll see the tail end of Rambo's route. Alonzo Adai had him tied up a little bit as they both went up for the ball.
So once again, the Alouettes benefit from a PI as they did on their last possession. The right tackle, Josh Donovan, is the one who's getting the escort off the field there. A lot of new faces on that offensive line as well in this one tonight. The left guard, Donald Ventrelli, as well. And you see in there now Ja'Kai Baker, 64. From the 42. First down. Herzog again. And he has about 5.
Well, Alouettes finding some balance in terms of their offense, getting Herzog going a little bit here. Nice opportunity for the young Canadian to get some touches as well. It's the valuable playing time we talked about for quarterback James Morgan.
Be interesting to see how that Alouette running game changes with William Stanback going to BC. 2nd and 6. Ottawa 38. Throwing is Morgan and completing close to the first down. That's Barbone with another catch. Jose Barbone. Just inside the 35. It'll be about 1 yard shy.
There's some big bodies into the game. From Montreal, David Dallaire. And the McMaster product, Jacob Mason. Their fullbacks.
It looked like it hit the turf and immediately picked up by Morgan. And he may just have the first down anyway. So alertly done. James Morgan had just dropped the ball and just as quickly picked it up again.
Well, there you see he doesn't get it cleanly, but fortunately able to recover quickly. Giving his team a chance, but not enough.
So a fumble that does ultimately cost them. It's a turnover on downs. He picked it up. It looked like he might have a shot. They didn't need much. They were about a foot away, but no, they measure, and it is a turnover. So
this place is wow. We got some great investment advice before we were in mutual funds, giving away 2% in high fees every year, times 30 years. That could have been hundreds of thousands of dollars lost. It's why we switched to Quest Trade.
It's a miracle! Leon's No Money Miracle event is on now. That means other than the taxes and fees, don't pay until 2026 with 0% interest. Plus, save up to 50% on select furniture and clearance mattresses. On now for limited time.
Hi, I'm Abel. When you donate to the Williams, you help kids like me. Thank you!
Stupid
wheelbarrow. Second straight turnover by the Alouettes as Ottawa takes over, leading by 7. And the number 1 QB, Drew Brown, is still in the game, Farhan.
Yeah, that was always the plan for this one, that he'd play 3 quarters, and it's his second opportunity to work in a game situation with Tommy Condell as the two men work together for the first time, but they do have a common thread that runs through them, and that is Zach Caleros. The Winnipeg Star quarterback has a tremendous affinity for Condell, who he worked with back in Hamilton, and he also thinks the world of his former understudy in Drew Brown. And when I talked to Condell about it, he said, you know, he did talk to both of us about the other, and as a result, I kind of feel like I knew him a little bit before we started working together. That said, I needed to know if he could handle hard coaching, if he could prepare like a champion, and if he could be accountable. If you heard his halftime interview, he's certainly accountable. And as for Brown and his take on it, he said, look, when you get coached hard, just know that Condell loves the game the same way you love it, and you guys both see the game similarly. So I think they believe they've got a really good basis and foundation, and while Brown's not happy with how they're playing tonight, he does like what they've done to this point in the preseason and thinks going into the season, they're in a good place. He knows it won't be easy. There's going to be some ups and downs, but he believes he can handle everything Condell throws at him.
Yeah, Farhan, your interview with him at the half was telling that way. Very blunt, not at all happy with where they are. You see Jeremiah Masoli back up there in the booth and behind Tommy Condell.
Had a brief chat with Jeremiah up here before the game. Always great to see him, and look forward to his return to health.
The early movement by the Alouettes and Moultrie, TD Moultrie there, and the flag comes out as Brown got rid of that football with Moultrie coming in. But the point made about the plan, as Farhan talked about, Dwayne, and to your point, that Ottawa has a bye to start the season, so they do have the extra rest.
Montreal number 97. It's a 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
So TD Moultrie called on that flag, but they do have, you know, time to rest after this, and the importance with all this change on offense that they do get more time together and give him more reps.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of it, right? Having that bye early in the season as compared to maybe if you're a few weeks in, you're going to get guys going home during the bye and so on. A bye at this stage, most of your guys are sticking around and getting settled here in town. Great opportunity to spend time with teammates and get a little more bonding, develop a little more of that cohesiveness you're looking for after some offseason changes.
It is Hill again, Kylan Hill, the ball carrier. And as fate would have it with the schedule, Drew Brown comes over as a free agent to Ottawa, and the first team he will face as the starting quarterback of the Ottawa REDBLACKS will be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2 weeks' time. Yeah. Right here at TD Place.
Yeah, the REDBLACKS never really seem to get a chance to ease into their season.
Gain of 6 before, 1st and 10, now up to the 48. Flags out again. And a screen. And that's McDaniel. And gets it down close to the Montreal 45. Easily enough for a first down. Wait for the flag.
Penalty is offside on the defense. The gain is greater. It's first down, Ottawa.
A lot of offsides for the Alouettes in this night.
46.
And I think part of that has to do with a lot of new faces, and particularly American players new to the Canadian game, getting their first extended action here. Different cadence, getting used to dealing with being a yard off the ball and so on.
So that goes down as a 15-yard gain from Brown to McDaniel. In Alouette territory, up to 46. Brown again stepping up in the pocket. Finds an open receiver, too. And a first down and a first catch of this night for Daniel Oladejo.
Yeah, Oladejo, University of Ottawa product, here in his second year with the Red Blacks. This is a guy who was a big riser at the Combine a year ago.
A gain of 30 for Drew Brown and the Red Blacks. They lead by a touchdown. That one scored by their defense. A pick six by Tobias Harris.
Over there to the
So
field.
the offense trying to get on the act and get in that end zone. Brown has him on the move. He has time too on a three-man rush, and there's a flag out too. Looks like a holding call coming up here against Ottawa, as Brown had lots of time and had trouble finding a receiver.
And a little bit of that time afforded to him by an extra grab.
Ottawa number 52. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
You got the right tackle, Zach Pelios.
Yeah, and really just a situation where Brown's moving around in the backfield over time. First of all, as a lineman, you can only block a guy for so long without grabbing him. But as well, you're playing with your back to the ball. The defender can see where the quarterback is moving. You're trying to play with a certain angle relative to where the quarterback is, but you can't see where he's going.
So a first and 20. Push back to the 27 now. Brown again with time. And it looked like he had a receiver open as well, but that one just couldn't hang on. That's John Vay Johnson, the intended target.
Johnson comes open as he crosses the middle. Well-timed throw. He goes up to get it. Just couldn't secure it.
In his second year out of Toledo, he was actually on Montreal's practice roster back in 2022. And a little bit of time with Hamilton last year and last week in Hamilton. Had 5 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown in the Red Blacks victory. Brock Gowanlock, third year out of Manitoba, heading off to the sideline for the Alouettes. On a 2nd and 20 coming up here now. Late in the third quarter. We assume that Drew Brown will be done by the end of that third. Looking for the end zone, trying to get closer. That one is caught. Complete. Oladejo again, but it's a third down coming up.
So again, Ottawa adding to that offensive yardage total, but not necessarily a proportionate gain on the scoreboard.
Lewis Ward 2 for 4. Made his first 2, and then in the second quarter pushed one wide to the right, and then just at the end of the half with seconds to go, put it off the left upright. Trying to make it a 10-point game. That one is just threaded right down the middle. 26 yards.
You think you know golf? Think again. This is a new generation. Welcome to the CPKC Women's Open.
I'm going for X.
DoorDash gets groceries, so you don't have to.
Wonderful.
DoorDash, we get groceries.
So you don't have to.
What does a Superdry taste like? Let me show you. It's tradition reimagined. I'm one of a kind. Also, it's super dry. Feel expected.
no-hitter for the veteran Lewis Ward. And a 2-score game. The Red Blacks in front. Grey Cup champions, but still made some changes. Significant names coming in and certainly going out, led by William Stanback and Austin Mack.
Yeah, a lot of offense to replace with those two going, but obviously Tevin Jones, who had a breakout year last year in Saskatchewan, a big add in the receiving core. Remade defensive line when you look at Adeyemi Berglund and Wigan coming over from Calgary. A couple of terrific Canadians, and Dylan Wynn, the veteran, moving over from Montreal. They're from Hamilton, rather.
Stevie Scott, the running back. Morgan still in at quarterback. And Scott has the ball up across the 40 after that field goal by Lewis Ward. So now a 16-6 lead for the Red Blacks, and that was the final play of the third quarter. A quarter that saw the Red Blacks get a touchdown, but it came on defense after an interception thrown by Morgan, taking 101 yards.
AE drinks Sprite? AE drinks Sprite.
You want to hoop like me? Practice. You want a refreshing drink? Obey your thirst.
At Fidelity, we know that everyone's got financial goals, and they're all different. But the one thing we share, we all want to get to them sooner.
What are you looking for?
Sunglasses.
By Tobias Harris. Fourth quarter coming up. Preseason CFL. Now look at the numbers through 3 quarters. You heard Farhan saying the plan all along was Drew Brown to go with 3 quarters, assuming he's done. 19 of 32 for 246. See those passing yards with 1 interception, Blake.
Yeah, and I mean, on pace for over 300 yards in a game. Granted, it's preseason, but you know, there are positives obviously for Ottawa. You'd like to see more points on the board, more extra points rather than field goals from Lewis Ward. But I think positives to build on when you consider, again, this is a new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, a couple of new receivers in key positions. Jalen Acklin not in the lineup tonight. A lot you can build on here for this Ottawa team.
They did have the one Lewis Ward extra point, but that came after a defensive touchdown by Tobias Harris. You saw Jake Dunaway, 16 on the left there, talking to Drew Brown. He was the 3rd on the depth chart coming into this game tonight, and we're wondering if we'll see Dustin Crum next at quarterback for the Red Blacks. Right now, though, it is Morgan back in for the Alouettes, still going to start the 4th. Completes that one to Barbone, just shy of a first down for Montreal.
Jose Barbone. It's been a busy target. A favorite of James Morgan here in this ball game. Another of the first-year American receivers competing to add some depth.
That was his 4th catch for 32 yards, and Morgan just on the keeper on 3rd and 1. Remember the last time in this situation, they went for it, and it was bobbled a bit. They didn't end up getting it. They turned it over on downs. And the Red Blacks think that this has happened again. We needed about a yard. They want the sticks to come in. They want to be sure.
We'll look down the line. Lose sight of the quarterback as he plunges into the pile.
Hit the nose of the ball close to the 50, which is where they had to get. This is going to be very close. No, it's just 2 inches shy, and it's Ottawa football again. So 3 straight possessions for the Alouettes. There was the pick 6, and then they've turned it over on downs twice now. Frustrating for the head coach Jason Moss with that offense coming off the field.
Well, I think back to the halftime interview with Drew Brown and the sense of accountability and expectations, a level of expectations that he wants to set for his team, regardless of whether it's preseason or not. I mean, the culture established by Jason Moss last year was a huge part of Montreal going on to become Grey Cup champions. And you see it here even in the preseason.
It's Ronnie Brown in the carry, coming into the ball game at running back, and a flag coming out. And it was Dustin Crum who started for so many games for the Red Blacks last season. He really ended up being their starter more consistently after all the injuries they had at QB. So Crum
holding Ottawa number 50. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Sees a good run by Brown negated by a holding call after 16 yards.
Yeah, that one's going to go against last year's #1 overall pick, big Dante Bull. Now in the ball game at right tackle, he and Zach Peleas. Little bit of a takedown there. A quick snatch and grab.
Asking for the call as the flag came out. 1st and 20 on that holding penalty. Little play action fake as Crum steps up, and he does what he did so often a year ago in his first in the Canadian Football League. He took the league by storm in the first few games with all of his running when he had 741 yards carrying, scored 9 rushing touchdowns, tied for first in the Canadian Football League, averaged 7.6 yards a carry.
Yeah, and really just looking to develop as a passer, obviously, as he continues on his first full season in the CFL last year. I think on an individual level, you have to consider it a success for a young quarterback.
Oh, yes, sir. There it is.
He's throwing, completing that one, too. So on his first pass, it's a big completion for a first down to Eli Stove, one of the newcomers with his first catch of this preseason game and a gain of 18.
And here you see nice pass from Dustin Crum. You know, we talked earlier about the career trajectory of Drew Brown, right? Having an opportunity to learn behind a veteran guy and in a stable situation, and what that's meant for him. Dustin Crum didn't get that last year. He's thrown into the fire. Now he gets to be in a better situation.
And under pressure, he gets it away, completes it, coming back to the ball. Keaton Brugling with his first catch as he gets it down near the 10. A gain of 20 yards, Brugling in his 3rd year out of Carleton. Drafted in the 3rd round in 2022.
Yeah, Brugling lines up out wide. Terrific athlete. Guy who spent a little bit of time in the Canadian bobsled program as he offers that combination of strength and speed, power, if you will. Demonstrating some of it there on the run after the catch, lowering the shoulder.
Sets him up down at the Alouette 11. Still looking for an offensive touchdown. Crum handing off. And Ronnie Brown can't find much there against the Alouettes up front. But the odyssey of Dustin Crum that you alluded to came on after Jeremiah Masoli got hurt in Hamilton. Nearly engineered a comeback victory, mostly with running. He had 91 yards. The next week here, we did that game against Winnipeg. When they came back, went to overtime, he scored the winner in overtime, running the football, and then engineered another victory coming from behind against Calgary a week later at McMahon Stadium. But it didn't last. I mean, his first 2 starts he won. The Red Blacks only had 4 victories all season long. So Crum, pressure coming, and it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. So a 3rd down, and presumably Lewis Ward will be coming out.
Yeah, so similar story. Ottawa moving the football, you know, between the 10-yard lines. But new quarterback in, still unable to punch it in. You got a couple weeks to work on it, boys. All green zone all the time.
2 weeks away. Red Blacks get a break. Everyone else starts the season next week. Ottawa will the week after here against Winnipeg. So Lewis Ward, 4 for 6 now. And
Huddle up, let's go. Okay. You deserve more cash back, and you deserve better credit.
Okay, but what does that have to do
because
with?
This is a commercial for Coho.
See, with Coho, you'll make progress.
When are we gonna coach?
Race together, build together with new Lego Mercedes playsets.
Book in the Hotels.com app to find your perfect somewhere.
She's using AI in the cloud.
No, that AI runs on the PC for better privacy.
So much is possible with AI.
Like the Snackatron 3000.
Cookies detected. Put AI to work on business PCs with Intel Core Ultra and Intel vPro.
Chip shot of 17 yards, 3 more on the board. The Red Blacks add to their lead. The CHL Memorial Cup will conclude this Sunday. The final game, the championship. See who takes home the big prize, the drop of the puck, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Memorial Cup, only on TSN. Preseason football in Ottawa. The regular season begins in the CFL next week. And more encouraging signs for the Red Blacks in the second half, of albeit a preseason game, but they do lead it 19-6 here in the fourth quarter. Taking contact is Jalen Lane and picking up a few more yards on his first catch of this game and a pickup of 11 yards.
As you said, relatively short pickup, but Wayne fighting through contact. There you saw the play action to hold the defenders, but beats the first tackle, shrugs off a second shot and a third shot. Gotta love it.
Flags out for 3 or 4 yards for rookie Michael Herzog.
Offside, Montreal number 73. It's a 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Ramad Chakiao Bowman for the Northwestern.
You've been waiting all night.
I have been.
For that one.
You go through a preseason roster, and there are a lot of players you're not as familiar with. And we went through that and fretting over certain names. And but I am saying Ramad Chakiao Bowman tonight. My apologies to him that it's on a penalty. He is 73, first and 15 at the Isles 46. Back to Herzog, nowhere to go. That door is closed. It'll be a loss of a yard. Obasher. Divine Obasher, second year out of Boise State, stuffing up Herzog and a loss of 3.
Second and long here, created by the Ottawa defense. See if they want to dial up any other tricks here in the preseason, or if they're looking to keep some things hidden in terms of Darren Miles' defensive package.
James Morgan has played much of this game. He tries and nearly has the completion. A flag is down in the Alouette backfield. Was that roughing the passer? Frederick Antoine was the intended receiver as Morgan stood in.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Ottawa number 93. 15-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
They flag Aiden John. His second year with the Red Blacks for that penalty.
Yeah, watch for John. Looping to the inside on this one. A little bit of an opportunity here for the second-year man out of St. Mary's to potentially, you saw him come in high with the hand there. That's what draws the flag. But a bit of an opportunity for him to move up in the rotation as Kenny Onyeka will open the season on the 6-game injured list.
Herzog is the ball carrier from the Montreal 47. He picks up about 4 more yards heading to the midway point of this fourth quarter. Mentioned a lot of the Alouettes starters resting on this night. They had played in Montreal last week in a preseason victory over the Argos. And they will be getting ready. Cody Fajardo and so many others resting up and getting set for Winnipeg next week to open up the 2024 CFL season. Grey Cup rematch. and 7. Morgan to the right, and it's caught right down around the first down marker. And once again, that's Antoine, one of their draft picks in 24.
Antoine, a Quebec native, started his university career south of the border before transferring back to play at Laval. Perhaps overshadowed by Toronto Argonauts first-round pick Kevin Mittal in that Laval receiving corps. But as I mentioned earlier, a guy who shone a little bit at the Combine, demonstrated what type of athlete he was. I feel like he's kind of a high-ceiling player given his athleticism, even though he didn't have great numbers production-wise at Laval. See what he's able to do here with the Alouettes.
Well, that was another third down, and they just needed maybe an inch or two. And it is a first down. Drive continues for Montreal. And James Morgan certainly getting his reps. Davis Alexander not normally the number 3 quarterback, and he got a lot of reps last week. But Alexander not in tonight. Caleb Evans getting the start for Cody Fajardo, and he did his time in the first half, and it's been Morgan the rest of the way. 4th on the depth chart right now, but certainly getting a look. And slipping there on first down, trying to break to the left was Herzog for, looks like little to no gain.
One of the things that's interesting when you look at this Alouettes offensive line, a number of American players playing in this game is, you know, some of their starters, Christian Matt, Pierre-Olivier Lestage, the regular starting guards, 2 Canadians at home.
Completed a Rambo. Flag goes down right where he catches the football. And that's down. It would be enough for a first down close to the 20.
So you're seeing some American players at guard, where typically you're more often going to see those guys at tackle or competing for tackle spots at starters. But here seeing them in the interior and playing at spots where the starting jobs are obviously locked up by those veterans for the Owls.
Pass interference, Ottawa number 39. The penalty's declined as the gain is greater. It's a first down.
Take a look here at the matchup. Rambo versus Deshaun McNary.
Deshaun McNary was with the Alouettes last year in a few games. And another catch for Wayne, getting in on the act here in the 4th quarter. His second catch. Jalen Wayne, first year out of South Alabama. And yes, the last name Wayne, by the way, remember the great Reggie Wayne?
Yes, sir.
With the Indianapolis Colts. That's his cousin. Jalen Wayne. He wasn't a bad receiver.
Had a pretty good run.
A favorite of Peyton Manning's, Reggie Wayne. Of course, he had Marvin Harrison, too, back in those great Colts teams. So there's Rambo with another catch. Solid performance for him.
Yeah, I think adding to what's been a good training camp for him. This grab tougher than it may have initially looked. Get another peek at this one. Going down and getting it right along the sidelines.
First and goal from the 3. Throwing. Oh, nearly hung on by Rambo. That was broken up nicely by the REDBLACKS. And that is the ex-Alouette Deshaun McNary.
That looked like he had some words for the Alouettes bench after coming up with that play. Wrestling match for the football.
Montreal's challenge on the previous play for defensive pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
Preseason challenge flag coming up for Jason Moss.
Isn't it time to obsess over something other than money for a change? Like building a path towards what's important to you. Money's a thing, but it's not everything.
Edward Jones. We do money differently.
Simply Spiked Lemonade. Made with real fruit that fell from its tree and rolled right into the party. Now introducing Simply Spiked Peach. It's getting juicy.
Every business has a story to tell. Stories not just about what we do. They define who we are. Whatever you make, however you make it, let's make it together. Linares, proud partner of Canadian business.
We invited ATCO Energy customers to make saves for a chance to win free energy. There's an easier way to save on your energy bill. Visit atcoenergy.com.
Wants a PI call on his former player, McNary. We'll have the decision coming up. Jason Moss is challenging for pass interference on this pass. Morgan to Rambo. McNary. Was that PI? Here's the ruling.
After review by the command center, we have pass interference against Ottawa number 39. It's first down on the 1-yard line.
And ultimately they got the call right. You could see in the replay as the ball was in the air, McNary already had hands on the intended receiver, Rambo.
So it had been a 2nd and goal at the 3. It's now 1st and goal, and we move it down to the 1-yard line now. A chance for the Alouettes to find the end zone finally for the first time in this game. James Morgan handing off. Herzog. Well, second effort. He got pushed back. He turned around and tried again, but he still only gets it back down to the 1. So a 2nd and goal coming up here as the REDBLACKS up front. Stiff as a board there.
Yeah, big stand for the REDBLACKS defense. You'll see Herzog keeps the legs churning. Terrific balance here, but eventually he's just outnumbered and overpowered by REDBLACKS defenders.
A 6-minute drive. This is the 14th play of it. And another chance for the Alouettes to get in the end zone. Morgan with Herzog. Tried again. Wait for the signal, and yeah, he's in the end zone. Nope, still no signal, excuse me. Looked like he broke the play. No, they're saying 3rd down.
Well, and that had to be pretty close. I mean, he just has to break the field side edge of the goal line as opposed to the getting all the way across the back edge of the goal line.
Third down. The pass this time. The throw incomplete. They turn it over on downs again. They were that close. But Ottawa will take over again. So they got close.
This is the GMC Sierra. Available with the Super Cruise hands-free driving experience. GMC Sierra. It's the truck.
Hi, I'm Abel.
Abel will try any activity he can. He doesn't see what he can't do, he sees what he can do.
Yeah, this is helping. When you donate to the Warriors, you help kids like me. Thank you.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you.
Michelob Ultra.
I'm going for X. DoorDash gets groceries, so you don't have to.
Wonderful.
DoorDash, we get groceries.
So you don't have to.
But they didn't get it into the end zone. 3rd time they've turned it over on downs. REDBLACKS ball. During the break, Jason Moss threw another challenge flag looking for PI on McNary again on Rambo. Is it a turnover on downs?
After a ruling by the command centers, pass interference, Ottawa number 39. Down on the 1-yard line.
Wow, Jason Moss is getting his money's worth late in this game on challenge flags, both times against his former player, Deshaun McNary.
Yeah, that couldn't help wondering a little bit. You know, seeing McNary's reaction when he made the play on the first pass intended for Rambo. You know, and he kind of chirped at the Montreal bench. There were definitely some words exchanged there. And Jason Moss threw the challenge flag. It was almost felt a little bit like, I'm not going to let you chirp at my team.
Well, this time, Morgan trying a keeper and finally does get that ball across the plane. So Morgan doing it himself after a renewed set of downs because of another pass interference. It is touchdown Montreal. James Morgan picking it up. And all this playing time he's been getting in this CFL preseason game.
Yeah, the Ottawa faithful not happy with the call that gives the Alouettes another opportunity to punch it in. Great effort there from the young Alouette quarterback. Fight his way in.
They're going to get a stop.
But both calls on review, absolutely. Sure, the correct call.
Both interference and good challenges by Jason Moss. So 16 plays that drive. 70 yards, and that took half of a quarter. 7:13 on the clock, and we're down to the 3-minute warning already here in the fourth quarter now.
It's a miracle! Leon's No Money Miracle event is on now. That means other than the taxes and fees, don't pay until 2026 with 0% interest. Plus, save up to 50% on select furniture and clearance mattresses. On now for limited time.
We invited Atco Energy customers to make saves for a chance to win free energy. There's an easier way to save on your energy bill. Visit atcoenergy.com.
The code's not working.
Dad, really needs to pee.
We're gonna get in a minute, okay? Representative.
Please continue to hold.
Meanwhile, at a Verbo, when other vacation rentals leave you hanging, try one where you can reach a human in about a minute.
This is the GMC Sierra. Powered by the available V8 engine with 420 horsepower. GMC Sierra, it's the truck.
As the Alouettes finally do get into the Ottawa end zone, they're still trailing. Well, the REDBLACKS have the bye for week 1. Everybody else in action. Start the season next Thursday. Alouettes, Bombers, they meet again, followed by the Ticats, Stamps, and Calgary on Friday. Saturday, the Rough Riders and Elks in Edmonton, and capped off Sunday in Toronto. BC Lions up against the Argonauts.
Looking forward to getting things underway here in 2024.
Yes, sir. Preseason ending tonight, and then, as said, they start playing for keeps. The CFL 24. After the touchdown, it's a 19-13 game. Ottawa still in front and with the ball. Tobias Harris, who has scored the REDBLACKS touchdown on a pick 6 earlier in this half. And Elks Lions coming up next, their final preseason game from Vancouver.
And always an interesting weekend to follow as teams have to get down to their roster numbers. Yeah. You know, so I mean, you look, always a few surprises and familiar names changing places.
Dustin Crum at quarterback, and he hands off. That ball carrier, Amilcar Polk, getting his first carry in this preseason game for Ottawa.
Another University of Ottawa product. Playing for former CFL coach Marcel Belfait with the GGs the last few years. Polk, a 2023 draftee, so he's been in camp the last couple of years with the REDBLACKS.
Polk again. Across the 50. getting the first down for Ottawa. Mentioning the schedule, as Ottawa will start off in week 2 against Winnipeg. What really hurt the Red Blacks, among many things, was how they did in their own division. They didn't win one game in the East. All 4 of their victories came against West Division teams. Well, does a good job breaking a tackle as Pope. Second effort gets it up across midfield on that 3rd straight carry for Amilcar Pope.
Yeah, the Red Blacks obviously under 2 minutes to go in this one, just looking to keep the clock moving. They're going to pound it. They've still got some veteran offensive linemen in this ball game. Jacob Ruby and Dante Bull among them.
Just about done here in Ottawa, and we got Edmonton and BC, and Vernon Adams will play for the Lions tonight in their last preseason game. On the receiving end again for the Red Blacks, but you know, the Lions and Adams in the kind of year he had last year, but a lot of excitement on the West Coast this year, especially with the Grey Cup being played at BC Place.
Yeah, no question. I understand the commissioner's actually going to be out in Vancouver to make a little announcement on Monday. Yeah. So can't wait for that one to kick off week 1.
So preseason football continues in this doubleheader tonight as we will head west after this game is done for the Elks and the Lions. This has been the Pope drive as he carries it again. Mentioning that rivalry, though, I mean, the Red Blacks in one game, they had a 2-score lead late when it was their old quarterback, Caleb Evans, who engineered a drive, filling in for Cody Fajardo. Montreal victory. But as mentioned, that really hurt Ottawa. Bob Dyce had talked about that. They got to do better, especially in their own division.
Yeah, no question. And an East that feels a little bit wide open this year. You know, the Toronto Argonauts had such a tremendous regular season last year. But some changes there.
Timeout, Montreal.
Obviously starting the regular season without their #1 quarterback, but I mean, defensive coordinator Corey Mace, who I think contributed a lot to their success, moves on to become the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And the Alouettes for Jason Moss, I mean, they went on a tear in the latter part of the season, winning 8 straight games. I mean, 5 regular season games, 3 playoff games, including the Grey Cup. But they, and you had talked about this, they went 11-7. And those, you know, they were perfect against teams below them in the standings, and they were 0-7 against the 3 teams that were above them in the standings, the Argos and the BC Lions in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And boy,
they did what they had to do at the end of the year, beating 2 of those 3 teams.
They sure did. So mentioning these 2 teams, though, in that rivalry with the Alouettes sweeping it last year, it's week 3. The second game for Bob Dyce's Red Blacks will be in Montreal. So, yeah, I know we're talking about a lot of different players tonight in a preseason game, but this game had a bit of a chippy side, and this rivalry is just going to get more intense.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt, preseason or otherwise. These cities just a couple of hours apart. A couple teams very used to seeing each other 4 or 5 times a year.
Oh, yeah. Leone to punt. Herzog is back in the end zone for the Alouettes. Leone, is he doing that again? Oh, my goodness. Drops that down. It sits right at the 1. Flags for no yards coming out, though, but still. You got to appreciate it when Leone does something like that. We saw it earlier when he had one roll out right at the 2.
I mean, you sit here and watch a kick like that and go,
Ottawa number 39. It's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
He couldn't duplicate that kick again if he tried, but he's been doing it for 8 years, so I'm not betting against him.
All right, let's go, dude.
Just magnificent placement, just the right bounce.
Not much much you could do there except hope for no yards, which the Alouettes did get. Richie Leone started his CFL career in BC, but he's been with Ottawa for many years now, the University of Houston.
I mean, you couldn't throw a ball much more accurately than he punts it.
James Morgan embracing the chance he's been getting tonight to quarterback that Alouettes offense.
It's an official's timeout. Game was stopped at an official's timeout.
Hey, tell him. 38 seconds. Tell him, back up. 38 seconds.
So the Red Blacks' first 2 games after a bye to start are against the 2 teams that played in the Grey Cup last year. First Winnipeg here, and then in Montreal. So they're discussing the returner, Michael Herzog, on the punt on the previous play. And watch Herzog here. Watch his feet.
See, that left foot is out of bounds.
After automatic review by the command center, as the play was under 3 minutes, we have legal participation against the returner against Montreal. Those penalties will be balanced. We still have the no yards against Ottawa. The penalties balance at the 3-yard line, up 5 yards, first down Montreal.
That's what I was going to say, Tim. Stealing my thunder. Referee Tim Croker.
He did the analysis for you there, you're saying? Once Herzog stepped out of bounds, wasn't eligible to touch the football, so biting into that Ottawa no yards penalty is that penalty against the Owls. 36 seconds on the clock. Antoine again for the rookie. Drafted in 24 and getting involved late here, but another good young Canadian receiver for a team that has a few of them.
Definitely adding some depth and fitting the mold in terms of athleticism of Cam Julian Grant and Tyson Philpott.
That goes back to Wayne, Jalen Wayne on the catch. Just a couple of plays to go in this preseason. He's starting to think too about Montreal and Winnipeg to start a new season. Looking back in that game in November, the Alouettes were down a couple of scores with a chance to get close at the end of the half, denied by the Bomber defense. It all looked like Winnipeg at that point, but to start the second half, the offense of Montreal put a drive together and falling incomplete. And Gary Johnson wishing he could have got his hands on it, but that was really the statement in that Grey Cup. And we worked that Eastern Final when it was the Alouettes defense that did not everything, but a lot in that game. But it was the Montreal offense in that Grey Cup against Winnipeg. When they had to step up, they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got the sense watching them down the stretch that they had potential to be that team of destiny, where everything just came together at the right time and they went on a run, and they proved to be exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, some changes to their lineup, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. The home stretch of the season. Rivals of Sean Lemon, Darnell Sankey.
Great acquisition.
So, well, I mean, you look at those two guys coming in 2023. 2021 and 2022 combined, no one had more sacks in the CFL than Sean Lemon. No one had more tackles in the CFL than Darnell Sankey. You added two impact guys, and this is where I feel very strongly that General Manager Danny Machocha and Head Coach Jason Moss deserve so much credit for the success of this team last season. Everybody kind of forgets that going into the season, there was uncertainty about the ownership of the team, which led to them not being able to retain free agents, not being able to sign a lot of free agents. Right. You factor in the injuries at receiver and so on, and the way that the season started, the things that they were able to do during the season, the things that they did in the draft, etc., the way they put the team together and pulled the team together was absolutely phenomenal.
It really was. And Lemon was a big part of that. We should point out he's appealing his gambling suspension. We still don't know about his status. He's still on the Montreal Alouettes and classified suspended. So, but what he made quite a difference, as did Sankey on that team and that defense last year. And no, it's a lot different in June. It's not a Grey Cup. It's a regular season game to start. But still will be, I'm sure, lots of intrigue to see the Alouettes and Bombers meet again to get a new CFL season started next Thursday night in Winnipeg. The final play of the preseason for Montreal and Ottawa. And a deep look here, down into a crowd that gets knocked away, and that's it. Ottawa wins the game. And Ottawa gets Winnipeg in a couple of weeks as the Red Blacks are hoping for something different this year. Montreal, Dwayne, looking for more of the same the way 23 ended.
Yeah, that's it. Alouettes checking out some young guys tonight. Look to see who fits the mold of Grey Cup champions, right? Who can make a Grey Cup championship team better? And for the Ottawa Red Blacks, looking to get into that playoff mix, did some positive things tonight. They continue to build.
Will those changes by the Red Blacks, including Drew Brown at quarterback, be enough to make things different? Fortunes change in the nation's capital. Game one of the doubleheaders done as we send it back to Mark Rowe in the pen.
Thank you, Rod and Dwayne. It is the Ottawa Red Blacks winning 19-13 alongside Enoch Mwamba and Jim Barker. And the story going into this game is the story that Ottawa faces all year, and that's Drew Brown, whether or not he can be the next great starting quarterback in the CFL. What did you learn from this performance today, Jim?
Well, at halftime, he showed a little bit of who he is, and he was angry with how they played as an offense and stayed in through 3.5 quarters. I give him a lot of credit for that. When you're a team that has only won 14 games in 4 years, going 2-0 in the preseason is important. They say it doesn't matter. I say you have to learn how to win. So Drew Brown, again, his numbers, he was 20 of 33 for 250 yards. He had through one interception, no touchdowns. It was kind of pedestrian, but you know what? He didn't do things to lose the game, and that's the big thing is they figured out a way to win the game, and I think that's an important thing for Drew Brown.
You're totally right, Coach. It went 0-10 against the East last year. 0-10, not one win against the East. So winning 2 games against the East in the preseason in a meaningless game, you want to call it, I would rather have a win in a meaningless game rather than losses. And so you got to look at the momentum that they can build off of these 2 preseason games. And you're looking at Drew Brown, a guy who, in my opinion, I want to see him get more comfortable, get more confident in that backfield. But you're right. He's got that mentality and that mindset, and we saw that in that interview that we watched with Farhan.
When the Red Blacks haven't made the playoffs, and it's the longest drought in the CFL going back to 2018, they need to build off of some sort of confidence. For tonight, was that special teams?
Absolutely. You look at Dedmon. He's a guy who is lethal. He is deadly. When you look at this Ottawa Red Blacks team and Drew Brown in a way that he's trying to still get comfortable, if you have a guy like Dedmon do things that we've seen him do in the last 2 games here in the preseason, if he's able to carry this on through the regular season, it'll be good for Drew Brown. It's going to take a little bit of pressure off of him if they can eliminate 1/3 of the game and say that we'll always win this third of the game every game that we approach. It's a good thing for Ottawa, an even better thing for Drew Brown.
Well, and their defense didn't give up big plays. That was a killer for them. They've always done a pretty good job of stopping the run. Their front 7 is solid, but they give up big plays. They didn't do that. This whole preseason, they didn't do that. They didn't give up. I think they gave up 1 long pass in the first game, and nothing in this game. So, again, they're playing, the backups and that type of thing for Montreal, but it's still important to start to develop that we can win against the East and against, in the CFL. So they have a week off now to prepare for the Bombers, and we're going to see what the Red Blacks are really all about in that ball game when Drew Brown gets to see his old friends from Winnipeg.
I love the positivity. 2-0 in the preseason as we go back to TD Place and join Farhad Lalji with Tobias Harris.
Tobias, let's start with your return. Really broke the game open. And you used to playing special teams when you got into this league. Did your kick return instincts kick in when you had the ball?
Honestly, I played kick return in college, but I'm a playmaker. So in college, I played a lot of DB. Came out of college with 18 career interceptions. So it's kind of just felt at home, honestly.
What about this secondary? You know, you guys were much maligned last year, but is it really important for you? You took some growing pains maybe last year that this is now the time?
I personally think so. I think a lot of people returning. There's a lot of veteran experience. Learning from them guys and understanding things. Again, I came here last year and I played a lot of DB in practice, but I had a lot of growing pains and seeing them